As everyone patiently awaits the new update for Sonic Frontiers, people have been debating about Sonic games constantly. It's what we Sonic fans do when we're really bored. When we got nothing to talk about, we just debate about games.
Bro, nothing's fun no more.
This game sucks, this game's trash, this game's good, yada yada yada. And now it's that season where maybe some recency bias is starting to go away. So let me test this theory. Let me make a poll on my community tab. I just want to see something. Frontiers is still winning by a landslide. That's pretty crazy. You know what that means? Sonic Unleashed is no longer the fan favorite underdog. And I guess that also means that Sonic Frontiers is just the GOAT and recency bias doesn't affect it at all. Or does it? Who knows? We'll find out after this though. Hey, you there. Yeah, you watching. There's 49,000 people that keep coming back to these videos. I don't really have 49,000 subscribers. Since you guys keep on coming back, why not hit the subscribe button? It really helps out the channel, and so that way you don't have to miss anything. Thanks guys. So the new talk of the town is recency bias when it comes to Sonic Frontiers. A lot of people are saying, well, it's only getting this much praise because it's a brand new game. And honestly, I have some thoughts on that. So yes, Sonic Frontiers is a new game, that's quite obvious. But every point in time, a Sonic game was a new game. Not every single game has the recency bias treatment. Let's take a look at Sonic Forces. A lot of people were quite disappointed after Sonic Forces. Now, I think a lot of people's opinions got harsher on the game. Mine, for example, I tried to like the game at first, but it dwindled down. But it never was a strong impression in the first place. And I know I'm not alone in that sentiment. A lot of other people had the same experience. And I think that's a case where recency bias doesn't really help the game that much. Well, with Sonic Frontiers, it's quite different, I feel. More people enjoy the game than Forces, that's pretty obvious. But because more people enjoy the game, they may gas up the game a little too much. But honestly, I feel like there's almost nothing wrong with that. I personally would rather have people like what they like, even if it's a little exaggerated. I feel like liking something is probably a lot better of a feeling than disliking something. No, actually, except this. I wish this never existed. But yeah, I would probably agree that Sonic Frontiers does have a decent amount of recency bias to push people towards favoring that game over a lot of these other good Sonic games. But here's the thing. You have to remember, especially when it comes to Sonic Unleashed, that game was not loved on arrival. Sonic Frontiers was loved on arrival, which is not something that happens way too often. And all the polls that I've done personally and have seen when it comes to comparing Sonic games, Frontiers usually does win against Unleashed. But I have done polls where Frontiers was included against games like Sonic Adventure 2, and I've seen Sonic Adventure 2 just sweep the entire poll, even beating Frontiers. So yes, recency bias I think does have an effect against certain games, but not the most loved games. And honestly, to put this simply, people like Sonic Frontiers, and that's just the end of it. I genuinely do think that the whole landslide winning will not be a thing for that long, but I think Frontiers will always be more liked than a game like Sonic Unleashed. Even if recency bias is pushing the game right now as we speak, I still don't think it's going to be that crazy of a difference. Frontiers may win these polls against Unleashed by like a 5 to 10% difference instead of a whole 30 or 20% difference. So overall it may come closer, but I still think Frontiers is going to win, guys. And personally, I do think Frontiers is more consistent of a game. Oops, that might be a hot take.
Now who's gonna stop me?
Nah, but for real though, when it comes to the opinions of the people, I think Frontiers will stand the test of time. And I also think there's another trick up Frontiers' sleeve that we have yet to actually talk about. And that is, of course, once again, the DLC and all of the whole Kishimoto cinematic universe changes that are coming to the game. Kishimoto promised so much crazy stuff coming to Frontiers, as you guys know. He promised momentum, changes to the final boss, spin dashing, and all of this crazy nonsense. And not to mention, we're getting the multiple playable characters and just new little quality of life updates, challenge modes. I think because of all this DLC and changes being made to the game soon, Frontiers is going to be looked at quite differently, and it might have a second win if I'm being honest. And this stuff will really change the landscape of Sonic Frontiers, I think. So overall, basically, yes, I think Sonic Frontiers recency bias does give it a little push for sure, but I don't feel like it's something that's that major. People genuinely do like the game, and I feel like people saying that the game just has a lot of recency bias and that's why people think so highly of it, I don't think is really that big of a deal. I think the game will continue to get love, especially as DLC comes out and changes happen to the game that make people enjoy it even more. It's kind of rare to see a Sonic game have something like this because I don't think we've ever gotten DLC updates this big before for any Sonic game. So it'll be pretty interesting to see how this all happens. But recency bias or not, I think Sonic Frontiers is still a good game. And I just, hope that people don't end up turning on it like it did with Colors. But we'll see what happens. Because it may take a lot of years for that to happen. Because it took over 10 years for people to really turn on Colors, if I'm being honest. But yeah, that's how I think recency bias affects Frontiers, and how I think it won't affect Frontiers, and how it may change with how people feel about the game. But anyways, if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to hit the like button, and shout out to my channel members. And like always, hit the subscribe button if you're new here. And of course, I'll see you in the next one.